Well, hello there, Uber Tuber Ubers and all you others. Great and small, rich and poor, black and white and otherwise. I guess you can divide up people any way you want, or you can just sum all things up and say, "Hey, all y'all." That means everybody. Good evening, everybody. Well, another short talk in the trailer with the old guy. I want to say it's about 10 to 8, something like that, in the evening, and I even got that right. Hey, good for me. And just want to do a short talk with you here in the trailer. Just kind of chit chat with you a little bit and gab and whatnot. And I was sitting there thinking about a couple of things a little bit during the day. And so anyway, we got a pretty good job done. It wasn't real hard, but it was a lot of hand digging and stuff. When I say hand digging, I mean there was no machines involved. We didn't dig it with our hands. That would have been cumbersome. But I had to shoot it under a sidewalk today. It was about 4.5 feet wide. I barely made it, barely snuck that stinker through there, and everybody flew. So it had to do with a softener call, and one of our guys a couple of weeks ago had set up a drain that was technically illegal, but it would have worked fine. And only under very, very bizarre circumstances would it have ever presented even a mild problem. But another guy that I've known for at least 25 years, maybe 30, a guy named Pete. Oh my gosh. Pete shows up. Well, Pete doesn't have a license. Pete's not a plumber. Well, he calls himself a plumber. He does it all under the radar. CID, that's the state officials in charge of construction industries division. CID has been trying to nail this guy for almost 30 years because he does all kinds of under the radar jobs, charges a lot less, but he doesn't have a license. He's not bonded. He's not insured. He can't pull a permit. And so, but he's been in business all the years. So anyway, this guy comes by. I guess he's friends with the family. I don't know. So he pointed out that yes, technically there was an anti-siphon possible violation here that could theoretically poison the water. Yeah, that could happen. And, maybe Mickey Mouse will show up tomorrow morning and give you a great big smooch and a Valentine, but don't count on it. But, okay, I'll describe roughly the idea. There's a lot of anti-siphon backflow prevention stuff that happens in plumbing. It's probably a good idea to stick with it. I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but it's for certain circumstances which are very rare indeed. Take the anti-siphon things on your sprinklers outdoors if you have one. It's a pair of risers that come up about yay high. Here, you didn't see that. Just call them 14 inches high. And, well, that's one form. There's another one on the end of a silcock. It's a one-way valve. You can get water out, but can't get water in. It's like a one-way check, if you can grasp the idea. Well, why would you check two ways? That'd be kind of dumb. That'd be calling it like, a valve. Shut it off. But the point is, backflow prevention does play a part, and it is important to think about these things. But in this case, I probably would have done it the same way. It was a quick, easy fix, didn't require a lot of stuff, and boom, you're done. And, well, anyway, they didn't like it because Pete brought up, blah, 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 as if he's some kind of inspector. Get out of here, inspector. The inspector is after you. Anyway, so we straightened that mess out. So anyway, after work, I went by and got me a couple of. I should have brought them with me. They're okay. They're over on the table over there. Too bad you can't see that way. I can show you my new pants. I went into a place called Los Amigos. I bought stuff in there before. I like the store. It's on Valley Drive in Cruces, and they got a lot of work clothes, and now they got fashionable stuff too. I was seeing some of their mannequin stuff outdoors, kind of like this snazzy kind of like uh, I guess you'd call it merch. I mean, it's got names on it. Okay, any clothes that have names on it, like whatever they put on there, the name of the company, I guess. All that stuff. I mean, that's real popular. People love that stuff. Me, I've never cared about it. It was like there was one years ago, something like Aerial Postal or something like that. It's like, wait a minute, you got airmail stuck on your shirt. Airmail. Why? I don't know, but it was cool. And a lot of people did it. Well, anyway, Los Amigos is a good place. Go shop there. I think you'd like it. Run by a real good guy. And anyway, the guy's a mind reader too. I walk in and he goes, let me guess. You're looking for, and he called it right out. I said, I'm looking for Dickie's work pants. He says, you mean double knee, right? And I said, yeah, that's the name. That's what I'd forgotten about. So, see, this is like maybe a year ago. I went into Wallyville. I will studiously avoid going into Wallville if I can avoid it. The way they treat their own people, it just ain't right. But at any rate, it's kind of a cultic thing too, if you want to know, in my opinion. I've seen some weird things in Walmarts. Ugh. Needn't go there right now. But the point is that Los Amigos is a small family-owned affair, and they got good stuff. And so these double kneed Dickie pants, that's the ones I want, called loose fit. Because I got two pairs at Walmart, same size, identical. I think 36-30, and one of them fits. The other one, if I lost 20 pounds, I might be able to squeeze into them. I know I did last spring. I got into them a couple of times, but they're two sizes, and it's like, how'd that happen? So at any rate, Dickies apparently comes with different qualities. So if you want quality products of the Dickie brand, I like Carhartt, I like Dickies, I like Red Wing. There's good work clothes out there if you buy them. And anyway, Los Amigos, good place, and it's a family owned thing, I think. So you're not feeding this corporate monster, this multi-billionaire entity that mistreats its own people. So anyway, never mind that. Did all that and decided, well, I gotta go take a look at a little plumbing issue. I have there's a lady at church called about, and then another lady at church called about another one, blah blah blah. So I shot around town a little bit after work, and made it in time for prayer. I haven't gone to prayer at our church at UPC for I'm kind of making this up. I'm going to say 3 years, and I don't have a real good reason for leaving. It's just that it seemed to me like, am I just saying the same stuff over and over, man? Am I talking to the ceiling? What am I doing here? I mean, does God even care? And why would he? And so I just said, I'm not going to waste your time, sir. I'm going to go do something I enjoy. And walked out. So I hadn't been back in 3 years. But for probably 7 to 8 years before that, at least, I was pretty faithful attender on Wednesday night. Now, when it's not a worship service, what we do is just read a psalm, one a week. And that kind of becomes a jumping off board, kind of like a springboard. And so if I'm going to pray in that, environment, what I'll do is I'll just look down the psalm, the one we just read, and I'll just pick out a verse or two and just read it aloud. That becomes kind of my jumping point for this prayer, and we're going to use it for that one, that kind of thing. So, God, you're a strong, mighty tower. The mountains melt like wax before you. Your enemies are terrified and destroyed as you roll them back in consuming fire. Now, that part I made up, but you could get that out of the scripture. But the point is, use that as a kind of jumping off point, and essentially you pray the Psalms right back to him again. Kind of like, you know what, I want to be in your will. Oh yeah, well, here's what it says right here about being in your will. Boom, boom, boom. And I'm gonna repeat that to you. I need to practice. I need to say true things in my heart. I need to say true things because we're surrounded by so many lies, and they call them half-truths and misinformation, even disinformation. Lies. They're just bald, flat-ass lies. Like bald like that, see? Well, I do have a few little hairs up there. They're like rogues. But anyhow, just wanted to visit with you a little bit and encourage you, find a place to go pray, and even if it's by yourself. What you got to do is you got to get into, there's a sense of silence before him, wherein, I guess we might say, wherein the power of God is expressed without words, because it's better than that. In other words, words are too weak of a vessel. So it's a spiritual thing, and it's a soulish thing here. And if you are in an energetic motion where you have kind of 3 dimensions intersecting at once, and you suddenly realize, oh, that's me. I'm the place where 3 dimensions intersect. My heart is, my mind is, my body is. That's where he comes. That's where he dwells. He dwells in 3D reality. And so we invite him into our bodies. So in other words, we become apparently aware that, yes, it's really only 3-dimensional things that are actually real. There's a lot of imaginary stuff. There's a lot of proposed stuff. There's a lot of historical stuff. But the real things are 3-dimensional. That way, that way. Anyway, suddenly you realize you're at the center of that. You're where things are happening. And so when you happen to think about it, what you do is you think, well, you know what? Wouldn't it be great if we invited him in right now, right here, into this place, into this moment? And see, prayer then is a matter of listening. There's a sense in which, part of the reason I left the prayer meeting was it just seems like I'm just doing this. I'm flapping my jaws, just flapping my jaws. I'm not hearing back from him. I'm not. It's like this conversation we're having right here, isn't it? Entirely one-sided. So you can see I'm a natural at prayer, right? I can run my mouth like crazy. So I got sick of it. I just said, I don't want to do it no more. And when we learn to listen to the sound of quiet, there's that great song, Sound of Silence. Yeah, you got to go listen to the what's that guy's name? Disturbed version. Oh boy, this guy, oof, that guy can sing. The disturbed version of Sound of Silence, I consider it better than the original. But I don't remember how many 100 million hits the thing had. I mean, on YouTube, it's a lot. I mean, seriously, and it deserves it too. I mean, it's really excellent work. Anyway, in the silence we hear him. In the darkness we see. There's a sense in when we're numbed and we can't feel anything anymore. We're just out of answers. It's there he steps in and makes himself obvious in a way that kind of surprises you, reminds you of things you've heard before, reminds you of memories you've had, reminds you of things you've anticipated. Reminds me somehow of vanilla ice cream. In other words, something you really like. He rhymes with life. He rhymes with truth. He rhymes with reason and gladness. He rhymes with joy in our hearts because he's the center of it all. He's the reality of which these abstractions can't hold a candle. He's the real deal himself. And he's so good and comfortable and right. And he's just a good human being. I mean, people don't get better than that. He's just real. And that's, I think, part of our testimony as Christians is to say, yeah, I met Jesus. I'm his witness. And I'll tell you, the dude straight up, he's the best. Don't mess with him. You're going to lose. You're going to lose, man. But he doesn't want you to lose. He didn't want anybody to lose. He sends out his ovation of love, you might call it, the evangel, the good news, proceeding to the ends of the world. And we sure hope that all the peoples of the world can hear it. Because he has people coming from every nation and tribe and tongue, not only around the world now, but into the future and into the past. He's gathering them from across the age into one new thing. He calls it the bride. We call it the church, the gathered ones. Now they function, I'll be just as much me then as I am now, because that doesn't change. In fact, I might become a good deal more like me than I currently am, if that makes sense. I don't know how that happens. But how can you become more like yourself? Be more like Jesus. There you go. Hey, fixed it. Okay, so back on file. But I like doing that kind of stuff. But the thing is, as we pursue him in his promises, as we await him in his presence, we have to confess. I can't see far. Paul says we do see through a glass, yes, but it's darkly. We're only getting faint images, little puffs, and it's confusing. We don't see the big picture with clarity. We really don't. We don't hear the word aright because we keep interpreting it wrong for our own profit or personal or national privilege. No, the Bible is interpreted by the sound interpreter. That's Jesus Christ. But who's it going to speak through? The Spirit of truth. The Spirit of truth reminds you of the teachings of Jesus and lifts him high. That's what the Spirit's all about. The Spirit doesn't point at the Spirit. The Spirit points at Jesus. Jesus points at the Father, and the Father is pointing at you. Come on in. Come on home. It's getting late. Don't dawdle. Door's closing soon. And you don't want to lock nobody out, but some people are going to get locked out. Don't be that one. Don't be it. So go to prayer. Find a place where you can communicate with the Father. But I just kind of a rambling one today, I guess. But I was just kind of so excited. Got me some brand new pants. Oh boy. And I went down and prayed, and I feel good about it. And so often I come out of prayer meetings and I'm thinking to myself, give me a drink or several. Talk about depressing, man. What was that about? I go like, I used to make fun of country western music years ago. I hardly listen to the stuff anymore. I don't even know. I guess they're still writing it. I don't know. But I don't care about the stuff. But anyway, I don't go out of my way to hate on it either. But I used to really strongly dislike a lot of that stuff in the 90s. And there were some guys I was working around, construction guys, playing this junk on their radios like super loud all day long. Ugh. And I say, this music reminds me of it. Sort of like music to leap from skyscrapers by. Be all cheered up on the way down. Thank goodness I don't have to listen to that stuff anymore. But some people like it. So anyway, I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. But when you come out of a meeting or come out of service or whatever, and you think to yourself, God, that was awful. I mean, take that as a hint. Take that as the Lord is speaking your spirit. And when your spirit is being spoken to by truth, you will understand. You'll be excited. It'll make sense to you. You'll be enthusiastic. You'll want to talk about it. Why? Because it makes sense. It's real. That's why. It's not because you tried to be excited. That's stupid, man. People try to tell you to try to be excited about selling the gospel. Try to be excited about selling the gospel. Yeah, people can do that, can't they? But no, you don't try to be excited. That's ridiculous. So, every years ago, people said, well, if you can get excited to go out and yell at an Aggies game, I don't know why you can't yell a little more about Jesus. I always thought that's going to be the most lame-brained syllogism I've ever heard in my life. But I couldn't even put my finger on what I didn't like about it. Now I think I'd see it this way. Look, don't even start there. Don't start with that kind of analysis about being excited for Jesus. It just doesn't work. No, the way you talk about, I hate to say this because it's so obvious. The way you talk about excitement in Jesus and what a wonderful and encouraging and exhortative and wise one he is to be around. Good humor too. This guy's warm. Anyway, our testimony is of him. Our testimony isn't some theory or some theology or some doctrine or some dogma. It's him in you, him alive. And if you're praying and you come out and you're all bummed out and you're thinking, oh my God, give me a whiskey. Take a hint. The Spirit might be leading you. Pay attention. You can find better things than that. Don't settle for that junk. You're in the middle of a desert. Don't eat garbage. We don't have too much extra food laying around, but don't eat garbage. Don't swallow lies. You don't need that junk in your life. Swallow the truth and rejoice and say so with your mouth. Repeat true things out of your mouth. You'll flourish. I swear it. Whew. I haven't lied all day about that stuff once, so far. Have a good night, be blessed, and sleep like a rock. The Rock of Ages is with you. Maybe I'll write a song. Country Western. No, please, no.